And at this time, I'm going to let Tony take over and intro that automotive. Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome to the call. And I trust everyone has at least seen the two videos, one with Mr. Derek Bailey being interviewed and the other one with Mr. Dell Warburton in the beginning. And so, yeah, welcome. So I'm going to jump right into it. So my wife and I'm Tony Pitts, wife's Teasha Pitts. We're both serial entrepreneurs in the Philadelphia and New Jersey area. Had a few businesses, nightclub, restaurants, and things of that nature. And so it's a funny story how we kind of got introduced to Derek Automotive. Some friends of ours over here in New Jersey own a few restaurants and Taste and See over in Williamstown. And so me, it's a Saturday night. I'm coming home. We're real estate investors, and I'm coming home from Philadelphia from a project. I got debris and paint all on me, and I get a phone call as I'm coming over the bridge, and it's my wife. She's like, "Hey, babe, where are you?" I said, "I'm on my way home. You know, it's been a grueling day, and go home and take it down. It's a Saturday evening." And he's like, "Hey, I really think you should come up to the restaurant. Alston AK's restaurant." I'm like, "Well, nah, for what?" She's like, "Hey, it's something going on. It's pretty big. There's limousines out here. There's people with suits and ties. It looks like a gala, a bunch of business folks and briefcases and presentations going on. You should slide up here and see what's going on. I'm getting ready to find Alston AK and see what's happening." So I said, "Well, you take a look at it. I'm going home. I'm tired." She's like, "But I think this might be a business opportunity." And I'm like, "I'm fine. I don't need no more business opportunities at this point. It's late. I don't rush, but especially not for business or make any hasty decisions. So you tell me about it later on when you come home." So I continue down the road, down 42. She calls back, "Babe, nah, you really got to come up here. Alston AK say you got to get up here. This is the last night," and so on and so forth. "And you really need to take a look at this, this opportunity that's going on." And so I'm like, "I'm tired. I'm going home." So I get almost home, and then Alex calls, "Hey, brother, you need to get up here. You need to meet this guy. You need to check out this program, blah, blah, blah." So I'm like, nothing doing. I don't rush in business and take my time, cool, calm, collected. And so I get home. So they's like, "Listen, we're going to email you a PDF. Take a look at it, read it over. And after you finish reading it over, mind you, it's 10, 11 o'clock at night. After you finish reading it over, then come up to the restaurant." So I go home. I go through the presentation. I look at the slide deck. I do a little Googling. And it looked pretty impressive, but I'm tired. I'm going to bed. So Alex calls one last time and he says, "Listen, I pulled some strings for you. The gentleman's going to come back in the morning. All you got to do, get up early in the morning, come to the restaurant. I'm going to have breakfast for you. And I want you to meet this guy. And I really want you to take a look at this presentation." So I said, "All right, that's fine. That'll work for me." And he said, "Oh, and bring your checkbook." I'm like, "See, now I'm not bringing no checkbook. I'm not going to be pinched into, writing a check on the spot. Alex, I don't do business that way. I gotta take it easy, slow down, cool, calm, collected. That's me." So my wife come home. "What do you think about the presentation? It looks good, babe. We're gonna go in the morning, blah, blah, blah." So we go there, and it was exactly as described. I met Mr. Derek Bailey, and he did a splendid presentation on the company and the technology. And when we got to and of course, I didn't bring a checkbook. So we get to the end. I look at my wife, Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected. And what do I say? "Hurry up, babe. Go get the check. I don't know why you not on this. I need you to rush. I need you to get to the house, get the check." Because Mr. Bailey was hopping on the next flight to Chicago, I believe it was, to pick up a few more millions of dollars out there. So he was on his way out, and he stayed around long enough for us to write a check. And that particular day, we actually also got to drive one of the first prototypes of the SUV. So we got to drive it around, and we had a very beautiful experience. And two reasons we got into this business a year and a half ago. One, the technology, it just simply made sense. Like that was just the core thing. The second part of it is, as investors, we always focus on the CEO, the man at the top. And the next question was, can he do what he says he can do? And that was pretty apparent to me at that time that he could. So we jumped right on the board. And of course, the next day, we told a couple close friends and associates, and they basically trashed us, told us how we were selfish and we didn't call them and we should have let them know and they should have been involved and they should have had an opportunity, but instead we kept it all to ourselves. So we felt bad for the next year, but I promised everybody, I said, well, listen, the very next time there's any kind of opening, any program, any way to secure some stocks in this company, I'm going to make sure I tell everybody. And that is what brings us here today. That is why we're doing these Zooms. We've been doing 3 or 4 Zooms a week. We've been having 40, 50, 60 people on every Zoom because, again, I'm a man of my word, and I said I'm just going to tell everybody. So that's why we're here today. And again, thank everybody for joining the call. And I'm going to jump right into it. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump right into the meat and bones. All right. Trust everybody can see my screen. All right. Wife just gave me the 2 thumbs up. So we're going to rock and roll. So Derek Automotive Technology. We've all heard of that company that starts with a T. Well, they jumped into the scene and they made EVs, electric vehicles, cool. Coolest things on the market. However, Derek Automotive Technology, we're here now, and we're here to make electric cars, EVs, convenient. Now, we're here to make things convenient because our vehicles are self-charging. And Tesla disrupted the industry. Today, you have 50 plus of the major automakers around the globe, all introducing electric vehicles. You see the news, you can see it happening everywhere. You see the charging stations being put up. And again, every automaker out there is attempting to make electric vehicles. Now, we believe at Derek Automotive that we're going to disrupt Tesla. Now, that sounds like a pretty big feat, but we're going to disrupt Tesla for one simple reason. Our technology allows our vehicles to be self-charging. Now, why would we just want to disrupt, right? You don't just disrupt just for the sake of disruption, right? So the reason we're disrupting is because you could take a look at the call. Probably 90% of us on this call do not own electric vehicles. I myself do not own an electric vehicle. Most of the people we know do not own electric vehicles. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. There's huge barriers to mass adoption of electric vehicles. It's slowing down technology, slowing down the growth and adoption. Now let's talk about some of these challenges to mass adoption. So here we have the number one consumer pain point, the number one reason that most of us do not have electric vehicles, because who has the time? Sometimes when I'm rushing out to go to a business meeting, I don't even want to stop to get gas and it take me 5 minutes, let alone drive around, look on my navigation, find a charging station, wasting time. Then when I finally get to that charging station, guess what? There's 2 or 3 cars there. They need an hour each charge. and I need an hour. Well, guess what? My day is gone. I might as well turn right back around, go home, get back in the bed. Nothing's happening. It's a major problem to mass adoption is the whole plug-in of and recharging of the EVs. Now, there's other pain points. Many of us live in multifamily units. So can you imagine 200-300 apartment complex or community, all electric vehicles? You're going to need 200-300 charging stations just to make it convenient. It's a huge problem. 42 million Americans live in multifamily dwellings. On top of that, it causes what we call the chicken and the egg problem. So what do you make first? Charging stations or the vehicles? So it's going to take years before consumer behavior change enough that there'll be enough electric vehicles on the road. Then you're going to have to balance that with enough EV charging stations. It's a huge problem. On top of that, we have the age-old morality issue. Governments around the globe, as usual, spending millions and billions of dollars on these electrical charging stations, trying to change the infrastructure. And meanwhile, we can see on the news, humans suffering at an all-time high. No money spent on that sector at all. So there's a moral issue. On top of that, blackouts. So, I mean, look at Texas, look at New Orleans, Puerto Rico, blackouts. And we all know these blackouts are due to storms, severe storms, tornadoes, hurricanes. And guess what? Scientists say it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get less. So that means you're going to have more blackouts. So how do you charge your vehicle when there's no electrical power? Governments are talking about putting emergency vehicles on the grid, your ambulances, your fire trucks and vehicles, police vehicles. How is that going to be possible? It's difficult now with the blackouts, and it's only going to get worse. Blackouts are a huge barrier to mass adoption of electrical vehicles. On top of that, here's a real simple one that we can all relate to. You get up on a cold December morning, and you go to your tire, and your tire pressure is low on your vehicles. No big deal. I'll just hop in my car. I'll drive over to the closest Wawa or other convenience store, gas station, and you get there just to get some air in your tire, and you see a big out of service sign. So you hop back into your car, you go to your next one, out of service. Finally find one, and it's a line coming out the parking lot. Now, mind you, there's a line coming out the parking lot, and it takes 5 minutes or less. Imagine it's a charging station that you go to, and it's out of service, and you finally find one. And it's a line. But these people aren't there for 5 minutes. They're there for hours trying to charge, and you need time to charge. Well, guess what? You might as well go back home again because the day is shot if you're planning on living the lifestyle of the electric vehicle. Now, we also have what's called the rudeness problem. Now, I don't drive an electrical vehicle yet, but what I do know is it takes a lot of time and effort to get our politicians to pass any law, let alone this one. Virginia is passing a law to fine people $500 for blocking charging stations. So it must be a problem. So here you go. You got up in the morning and you went to your first charging station, out of service. Second one, crowded. Third one, somebody got this big SUV parked in your way. So what happens next? Now you out of electricity. You can't find a charging station. because it isn't enough available for the amount of production. So here you are. And what do? You call good old trusty AAA. And what does AAA do? Now this we call a shame problem. Shame on you, oxymoron, because AAA is you're in your super green car because you want to protect the environment, stop global warming, and all these great causes. But guess who's coming to rescue you? This diesel truck dripping diesel down the highway, practically bringing the storms right along with it. You could just see the tornadoes and hurricanes just flowing right behind the vehicle, just to charge you up with some super green electricity. And instead of being that guy, picture yourself driving by in your Derek automotive electric vehicle, looking at this guy with your two fingers out. Shame on you. Now, we also have what we call the best in class problem. But what does that mean, Tony? What it means is Ford, arguably one of the oldest, richest, and successful vehicle companies in the world, and Lee Iacocca, 30, 40 plus years ago, had already come up with the electric vehicle. So they've had 30, 40, 50 years on this kind of technology. And here's what the best they could come up with. They're going to offer you an electric pickup truck, but they're going to charge you $80,000 for it, not including tax and title and tags. Then they're going to charge you an extra $6,000 for a fast charger, mind you. And guess what? You only got to wait 41 minutes of your life after 4 or 5 other people have waited 41 minutes of your life. I don't know if $80,000 is worth 41 minutes of just sitting there. But that won't happen to you, because you'll be driving by and your Derek Automotive waving at the guy in this big Ford electric pickup. Now, let's talk energy. Energy. Now, this is a fact that most people do not know. That electricity that's charging up your electrical vehicle, how's it produced? Where does it come from? Well, I'll tell you where it comes from. 60% of the time, an EV in the United States charging at a charging station is pulling power from an electrical plant that's drawing fossil fuels. Your good old gas, your good old coal, your good old oil. 60% of the time, you're sitting there, or that person's sitting there thinking they're super green. They got the super clean electric. 60% of the time, it's a fossil fuel that's powering that vehicle in the US. And you say, Tony, what does that look like globally? Glad you asked. Let's take a look. 90% of the time, globally, 90% of the global electric grid is fossil fuel based around the globe. Hey, we got a lot to do and a lot to catch up, right? Well, I'm absolutely sure in the next 20 years, things will be a whole lot better. Right, Tony? No. Look at this. In 20 years, not much will change in the energy global mix. Still, we'll be relying on fossil fuels, natural gas, coal, and good old oil. Now, if that ain't bad enough, there's more bad news, Tony, huh? It sure is. Look at this. From the time the power is generated from any power plant, by the time that electricity travels across the grid to that charging station, we lose 35% of that energy just to the power grid. just through those electrical lines, just through the infrastructure alone. 35%. Now you might say, well, how does that affect me? Okay, imagine you go to your gas station and you put $60 in and it only gives you $35 worth of gas. You're not going to be too happy about that, right? You wouldn't stand for it. But that's exactly what's happening. 35% of the power is lost to the grid. Wow, Tony, can it get worse? Sure it can. Take a look at this. Not only are we losing electricity through the grid, through transmission and distribution, it's the third biggest waster of electricity, of power. So look at this report. Annual emissions due to the loss of transmission of electricity on a power grid is more than the emissions from some industries measured in millions of metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. So not only are we wasting electricity, but that electricity that's lost to those lines is also polluting the air and contributing to global warming. To what effect, Tony? The third biggest waster behind oil and gas, heavy trucks, and machinery. Tony, this presentation has been nothing but bad news. Not quite, because we got solutions to the problem. What's the solution, Tony? Everyone meet the Proteus generator platform. Well, how does it stop electrical waste through those power lines? Easy. We create the power at the point of use. We actually create the power at the vehicle. Now, how does this platform work, Tony? Easy. We have 2 solid state batteries. So, okay, I'm gonna walk you through your morning. You got a lot to do. You got to go grocery shopping, drop the kids off, go to work, blah, 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 blah. So you start your day off with 2 full solid state electric batteries. You go on about your day. When that first battery gets to about 45%, what happens? That generator, the Proteus, cuts on and begins to recharge. Wow, Tony. While it's recharging, do we have to stop? You sure don't, because that second battery has now taken over and you continue your drive as if you don't skip a beat. And this is how you're able to drive by and wave at the fool who need AAA to fill them up, or those people in the line trying to charge up their Teslas. And that's the Proteus platform. Now, what kind of problems does this solve? Let's talk about it. 2 major problems with vehicle electrification. First problem is battery density. Battery density, what does that mean? Well, what it means is the more power you need out of that battery, the bigger and heavier and denser that battery needs to be. So here's an example. If you have a heavy duty truck, you're going to need a battery the size of about 13,000 pounds. A 13,000 pound battery? Yes, a 13,000 pound battery. And it's going to take up to 10 to 15% of your payload. So that's 10 to 15% of other things you can't carry to make money. And the weight. So that's a battery density issue. In fact, some years ago, Tesla began to work on powering a boat. Well, due to battery density, the battery weighed more than the boat. So obviously that never came to fruition. So there's a battery density issue. The second solution is, again, like we spoke about before, the transmission lines losses with plug-in charging. Our vehicle, again, generates the electricity. It's a gas to electric system. and there is no loss to CO2. There's a near zero carbon footprint, and we create the energy at the vehicle. Now let's take a little closer look at our vehicle's platform. Well, first, you have the counterpoise engine that converts fuel to electricity with a near zero carbon footprint. And we have a US patent for that technology. Second, you have the warp coil generator that boosts and magnifies that electrical output to feed the two solid state batteries. Now, again, you've noticed I've been using the word solid state battery. We use a solid state battery while the other companies are still using the lithium ion batteries. Well, Tony, what's the difference? Well, we'll jump right into it. Now, solid state batteries. Let's point out some of the benefits of the solid state battery. A long life expectancy, 100% recyclable and non-toxic, high energy storage efficiency, non-flammable, non-explosive, high energy density, large battery capacity. Dig this, low in weight, no air conditioning required, and even operates underwater. Well, what about the lithium ion batteries, Tony? Well, let's talk about it. Lithium ion batteries. Here's the comparison. Very short lifespan, high maintenance costs, extremely expensive to transport. We all know extremely toxic and flammable, terrible for the environment. I'm sure you've all seen on the news the challenge with trying to store these batteries. They have very low storage efficiency, which is why the batteries need to weigh so much. They underperform in extreme temperatures. So if you live in Alaska or even Chicago in the winter, forget about it. All right. And we all know they tend to overheat and they tend to explode. You can Google plenty of articles of Teslas and other electrical vehicles catching fire. Wow, Tony, what else can you share? Well, let's talk about some of the huge advantages. One, dig this. We get up to 2,500 miles on only 10 gallons of fuel. The solid state battery can be recharged while in use. You don't have to stop, and your car battery is still being recharged. The solid state battery does not catch fire, does not explode, and has 3 times the lifespan. There's the convenience and time savings that you get self-charging while you drive. Now, here's another not so well-known fact. Derek Automotive Technology can go into second and third world countries where Tesla and many other electric EV car makers cannot. Well, why can't they go, Tony? Well, these second and third world countries do not have a sufficient power grid upon which these charging stations can be tethered to. They're already overstressed. Many of these countries only have electricity 4 to 5 hours a day, and pretty much only for emergency facilities like hospitals and such. So Tesla and many other electric EV companies can't go because they need to use the power grid in order to power the vehicles. Well, Derek Automotive is independent. Again, we make power at the use of the vehicle. We do not need to plug in. We do not need to charge up into anything. You only need 5 to 10 gallons of gasoline or any fuel for that matter. And remember, you're only burning fuel during the recharging process. Once that generator charges that battery, it cuts off, and you're no longer using fuel. You're just running on total electricity. Now let's touch on a couple more points. Again, high mileage, up to 250 miles per gallon, safer and better environmentally, and the convenience of self-charging, converting fuel to electricity. Wow, Tony, what else does Derek Automotive do? Well, think of Derek Automotive this way. We're not really a car company, a van company, or a scooter company. What we are is a power generating company, an electric technology company. We're simply proving and showing all the uses for power, electricity, and fuel. So with this technology, there's many uses for it. So we're releasing the Avani SUV. We're releasing scooters and other recreational vehicles. And we're releasing a logistics van company, all with the Proteus technology. And I'm sure you could think of other uses for generating energy. Well, what's the next goal for the company? The next goal for the company is to take DAT electric vans public. Now, I just spoke about the different uses for the technology. So let me give you a visual framework of the company. So Derek Automotive Technology is the parent company that owns and controls the Proteus technology. The company is releasing separate companies based on product. So the first company is electric vans. There also is going to be the Avani, our SUV. There also is going to be DAT Marine to power boats, DAT Aero to power airplanes. There's going to be DAT Building to power malls, houses, manufacturing, to generate power to buildings. Again, we're a technology company that generates energy with our platform, and it can be used for multiple purposes. And I'm sure many of you on the call can think of some, as you said. Now, the company has decided to take DAT electric vans public first. Well, why the vans first, Tony, versus the scooters or anything else? Well, after long meetings, what the company has discovered is that you have consumer products, then you have a commercial product. Consumers tend to make decisions off of emotions and their feelings. Commercial companies tend to make decisions off of dollars and cents. So with that being said, we conducted a series of interviews across the country, speaking to logistic van owners. And what we discovered is that these logistic van owners are spending about $30,000 in fuel per year. Now, some of them have 20, 30, 50, and 100 vehicles. So we spoke to a few of the large logistic owners spending about $30,000 a year. Multiply that by 100, that's about $3 million a year in fuel costs. Well, with our Proteus technology, we could cut that cost down about $2 million. So we could save them $2 million a year. That's $2 million back into their pocket, back into their bottom line. And that has made a huge impact on our decision. On top of that, there's other reasons. One of those reasons is we took a look at the market, and evaluations are soaring in the logistic van market. Well, what do you mean soaring? Well, we found companies similar to ours in age, similar to ours in value, and we believe that we can be a multi-billion-dollar company as well as them. Well, let's take a look at some of these companies. So my wife and I, we're in real estate, and those of you in real estate, we use comps to compare houses and buildings in the market, comparable properties of the same likely value and characteristics and features. Well, we've identified 3 comps in the automotive sector. So you have a company called Rivian. Rivian has just secured a deal with Amazon Prime. Now, Rivian is probably less than a year ahead of us. We're right on their heels. And they've received an evaluation of $80 billion. Then you have Arrival, another startup European van company, not too far from ours in production, and they've received an evaluation of 5.6 billion. And lastly, you have a recent evaluation for Electric Last Mile Solutions, another startup delivery company, and they've received an evaluation of 1.4 billion. Now let's take a look at these comparables compared to DAT electric vans. Well, Electric Last Mile Solutions, they're retailing at 32,500 class 1 vehicle, 42 kilowatt per hour battery, and their mile range on a full charge is a mere 80 miles. Then you have Rivian. Their retail cost is 70,000, class 3, 180 kilowatt battery. And again, they got an $80 billion valuation for just going 300 miles, 300-mile range on a full charge. Then you have Arrival. Arrival, one of the most expensive ones, at $100,000 plus, class 3 vehicle, 130 kilowatt battery, valuation 5.6 billion, and they get a mere 200-mile range. Well, let's mosey on over to the right and look at DAT electric vans with the Proteus, onboard self-charging. And remind yourself, all those vehicles have to stop and charge hours. We don't know how many logistic vans owners got hours for their vans to sit and not be on the road delivering products. We are getting a 2,500 mile range. Onboard self-charging, retail price 56.4, class 2, but we can build to any size, 80 kilowatt solid state battery. And we are seeking an evaluation of 10 to 25 billion. Now, the good thing is we have a team of very savvy and fiscally responsible business leaders in our organization. So we're running a very capital efficient business model. Now, these other companies, they need about $2 billion just to enter the EV market. Well, we've been able to leverage our manufacturing partners for manufacturing supplies, tooling, engineering, and plant services to the tune of about $580 million they've invested. And we've been able to leverage those investments with only 15 million of our own. So it drastically reduces our costs to enter the market. And we can get in quickly, efficiently, and we believe we'll be profitable on day one. Now let's talk about profits. Our vans are very profitable. We're making about $25,000 average profit per unit. For our first 2 years projection in 2023, on the sale of only 30,000 units, that comes up to $1.6 billion in projected revenue. What's the market size, Tony? Well, the market size is about 48 billion. $48 billion between transportation and e-commerce, industrial users like the carpenters, your plumbers and electricians, municipalities, your post office and your local, state and federal governments, communications install firms, the AT&Ts, your Comcast, utility, small business vending, and military contracts as well. Now, let's get to the fun part. How can you get involved? What's it cost? and why you should care and why it's important to you. Well, Derek Automotive, just like Tesla and many other companies that are preparing to go IPO, they do what's called a pre-order program. Our pre-order program, you get a $1,500 pre-order certificate, and to make it more appealing, we give you a coupon for 33% off. So you end up paying about $1,005. On top of that, the company is gifting you 100 shares of stock, and you get a beautiful lapel pin. Now, why does that make sense for the company? And why does that make sense to you? Well, as I mentioned before, the company is taking DAT electric vans public. Now, in order to do that, there's certain financial criteria that the company must meet. All companies must meet. One of those criteria is future revenue. So how do you get future revenue, Tony? You guessed it, pre-orders. So what does that look like? So what it looks like is our goal for the first set of pre-orders is 12,000 units, and you're only paying $1,000. But on the books for pre-orders, it shows as a $56,000 purchase. Well, if you take 12,000 pre-order units times 56,000, come up somewhere between $600,000 and $700,000 in pre-order sales. So that hits our goal. We have pre-orders. Well, there's a second part. The second part is evaluations. We spoke about the companies and those valuations that they received. Well, in the market, there is a multiplier for valuations. It's between 10 and 18. Well, we'll keep it conservative. So if you take $600,000 to $700,000 in future revenue with the multiplier of 10, we will receive an evaluation between $6 and $7 billion. So that's why it makes sense for the company. How and why does it make sense to you? Well, first, guess what? You will receive 100 shares of the company pre-IPO. So as the company evaluation multiplies, we anticipate that your shares would multiply. Second, you get the production certificate. Well, what am I going to do with this production certificate, Tony? It's three things you can do. You can keep it, and when the vehicle comes out, you can buy either an SUV or a van. Well, what if I don't want an SUV or a van, Tony? You are under no obligation to buy an SUV or a van. Kind of close that case, right? Well, there's one other point that's kind of fun. Now, as I spoke about before, we've been speaking to logistics managers across the country. There's an extreme need for efficient, low carbon footprint vehicles. And we're saving them $2 million a year. Or you could say we're earning them $2 million a year. So we believe that there's going to be an extreme need and want and desire. These logistic van owners are not going to want to wait 2 years to get their vans. They need it immediately for their business. So we believe that they will be willing to pay to buy your certificate slot. So if you're number 1500 and I'm a logistics van owner and I'm losing $2 million a year, we believe that that logistic van owner will purchase your certificate slot from you, and you still get to keep your 100 shares of the company. So much so that the company is setting up an exchange. So the logistics owners has a portal to go in to bid or make you offers on your slots. The company is looking to turn these certificates into NFTs so it's transparent on the blockchain. So that's why that makes sense for you. as well as, don't forget, you get that beautiful lapel pin. I think that's the best part. All right. So now let's talk about the massive go-to-market. So we have three levels of customers: the consumer, the general consumer, the commercial market, as well as the government. So under consumers, you got churches and food banks and community centers. On the commercial side, like I mentioned before, you got logistics firms, your carpenters, small businesses, etc. And then you have local, you have state, and you have federal fleets, your post offices and L&I and organizations like that. Now, here's a little bit about DAT electric vans. The Nevada-based company formed in January 2021 to develop self-charging electric logistic vans, low-cost, low-carbon footprint delivery fleets. The company has a global license for 2 U.S. patents for the Proteus technology, as well as we're in the midst of a near-term public offering by way of reverse merger, with the initial raise goal about 25 million. And why? Again, I spoke about why the company chose to go into logistic vans. We've identified a multi-billion-dollar market, and we believe that we have the best solution for the best price. And again, the convenience of automated self-charging to reduce downtime for logistic vans for plug-in recharging. And again, I mentioned delivery fleets, contractors, government, state officials, etc. And again, I'll just reiterate a little bit again about the company structure. You have Derrick Automotive Technologies, the parent company. You have DAT Electric Vans, which is the first baby out the bunch to go public. There's going to be DAT Marine for your boats, etc. DAT Building, the power walls, to power your home, to power manufacturing plants, schools, hospitals, etc. Don't forget Divine Motors. You want to get that beautiful SUV. We're developing a finance department so that our consumers have no problem getting finance for our products and services. DAT Tech is still developing chip technology, and other technologies will be coming soon. And currently, we have the Atlanta dealership underway. We have Fort Lauderdale and New Jersey dealerships to follow. And about, not even 2 weeks, and 1 week at this point, we're all excited and celebrating the grand opening of the DAT Experience Center, upon which you'll be able to come and visit, and you can see the technology. You can learn about the company's history, plans for both present and future. It's going to be a great time. We're all going out to Atlanta next week. And yeah, then we're also doing what's called the exclusive funder for crowdfunding for those who either want to put something together to help benefit or partner with DAT Electric Vans, or you may have a venture of your own that you want to get funding for. So it's an inclusive crowdfunding platform. Now let's dig into some of the people at the top. So first, we have Mr. Derrick Bailey, founder. We have Dr. Corey Alston, who is our chief strategist. Then we even have Nat Anderson, who is actually a former mayor not too far from where we live. And the man with the brain, our scientist, in-house scientist, inventor of the Proteus, Mr. Dell Warburton. You see our esteemed legal staff. We have a team of logistics experts, some spending up to 30 years with UPS, as well as the founder and chairman of Amptricity Batteries, upon which we are building out our solid state battery technology. And that brings us to the end. So this gets to the fun part. This is when we jump on the line, and I do my best to answer the questions as best I can, but I'm nowhere near as good as Mr. Derrick Bailey. And normally we try to get him on a call. So Teasha, typically while I'm doing the presentation, is trying to locate Mr. Bailey to get him on a call to answer any questions you guys might have. So I'm going to switch over.
And brother Pitts,
Yes.
this is Dr. Corey. Mr. Bailey and I are just finishing a meeting with a large investor group here in Atlanta. So we are together, but I will assist you with answering any questions that come up. And Mr. Bailey should be joining momentarily. But in the interim, I'll support you with any questions that may come up.
Awesome. Welcome, Mr. Corey. Dr. Corey, thank you so much for joining the call. I am going to stop share, and then we'll give the listeners an opportunity to answer any questions they may have. Let's see.
So if there's anybody with any questions, I have Dr. Corey and Mr. Bailey is on the line. He's on mute. Again, like Dr. Corey mentioned, they are finishing up some business and just wanted to be present for any questions that you guys may have in regards to the presentation or anything about that electric vehicle. So you can unmute yourself and chime in, and we'll just keep that organization. Their time is a little short tonight, but jump in if you have any questions. Let us know. Or you can send me a chat too.
Yeah, this is Derek Bailey. I'm on the line as well. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes between meetings. We can answer any questions.
Thank you, Derek.
It looks like Tony's getting very good.
Yeah,
No questions, you see.
I saw that.
I was
Dr.
listening in, and he was covering it pretty well. So
Yeah, he's like a pro over here.
yeah, but Dr. Corey's good at talking people to death, so we'll get him to say just a few words on top of what Tony said, then just to wrap up.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay, well, all right, and I see a question that just came in. Will the Atlanta experience feature all the board members? So I guess a quick update on the Atlanta experience and our experience center that we're here preparing to launch now. There's a lot of excitement that is moving here in this local market about the company. We were on Friday of last week. We were in the presence of essentially all of the Black state senators and state reps in the state of Georgia. And they are all very excited that here in a city with an African-American mayor, and that's had an African-American mayor for 40 years straight, that they're going to be hosting the first Black-owned car company as we open this experience center here in Atlanta. Earlier today, for any of you that currently or historically have watched the world of boxing, you'd probably remember the name Evander Holyfield, and the real deal himself was in our presence, and we're discussing some brand ambassador scenarios with Mr. Holyfield, and there will be a couple of surprise, celebrity guests, and potentially some surprise footage from a nationally syndicated show that most of you would probably know well, that will likely be present next week also. But we'll hold back that announcement and maybe just make it a surprise for those of you that come, or for those of you that don't, you'll hear about it immediately thereafter.
No, it'll be live streamed.
It'll be live stream, okay. So everyone will have a chance to see it. So everything with the DAT Atlanta Experience Center is going well. To directly answer the question that was asked, the event is open to all. We do have a number of smaller, intimate, ticketed events so that we can control the numbers and flow that will be coming through each day. There's a number of constituency groups that have been invited to come through. There's going to be, an HBCU day. We'll have a couple of the local HBCU presidents and some of their administrators and students that will come through to meet us and learn about our technology. We've already had a couple of elected official days just in private meetings, but we'll have members of the state legislature, state senate, city council that'll be coming through next week. So we'll have it won't be specific for board members only. It's an open event that we've been broadly marketing, and there'll be hundreds of people that'll walk through and that will learn more about the company and what's forthcoming. Any other questions? Please feel free to jump in with any questions. I'll happily answer them now. We are a few minutes away from our next investor conversation. I don't see any questions. I mean, so let me just generally say this, and if there are more questions, just feel free to chime in. We are really, really, really excited about what's unfolding here. And for those of you that are not in Atlanta, don't be disappointed, because we're coming to you very soon. Okay, so we're already in conversations with probably close to 12 other cities about doing a DAT Experience Center. So in addition to the locations that were mentioned by Brother Pitts, there's several other cities that weren't mentioned that are on the radar and that are soon to come, within the first quarter of next year, and certainly by next summer. So one is going to very quickly become probably about a dozen. So sit tight. In addition to what you all are doing now by buying certificates, helping us to get pre-orders, helping us to build the valuation of the company for our IPO, opening this experience center and opening other centers around the country also goes to the narrative of showing momentum, and it's going to help us propel our IPO as well. So all of this works together. Any federal interest yet is one of the questions. We now have some full-time folks that are helping us with federal lobbying. As you might imagine, this is going to be the first time in the history of the federal government system where they're going to have a Black company that can have set asides for federal, state, county, fleet business. We have a federal person that we've just hired to do government support and lobbying. And one of the things that we're going to assign him to do actually this week is to help us begin all of our federal 8A certification and MBE registrations for federal government contracting. So federal interest is absolutely in place, and our pursuit of federal business is about to kick off in high gear, and not just federal. We're going to be going after state, county, municipal business as well. As you know, there's hundreds and thousands of governmental entities and cities around the country, and we're going to pursue as much of that business as we can. Can groups or organizations support the pre-order program? Absolutely. We actually would like for everyone to support the pre-order program. By supporting the pre-order program, you're really not only supporting the pre-order program, you're really supporting yourself as well. as Mr. Pitts mentioned, for every pre-order that you do, in addition to helping the company, and in addition to building our valuation and showing the strength of our pre-orders, you are also helping to drive the value of those 100 shares that we're going to give to you. So, when we started this, those shares alone were being valued at about $5 a share. If you think about what our potential future valuations might be, and back that down to what that would mean on a price per share.
Next meeting is starting, Corey.
Okay.
So we'll have to catch up with you guys later.
Okay. So please support the pre-order program. You help the company and you help yourself. Thank you all for your time. Atlanta's going to be exciting. Look forward to seeing you on live stream.
Thank you, Dr. Corey. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much for those questions that you have. And if anything jumps out for you after the Zoom is over, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Tony or whoever invited you to the Zoom tonight, because we can definitely get those questions answered. And we are so appreciative. We got a bonus tonight. We got Dr. Corey and Derek on the call tonight. So again, they are this company again, is exciting and it's living history. And if you see something, do something. So Tony and I always try to leave with that note. There is no pressure here. This is again an opportunity presenting that we wanted to present to our network, people we know, and then for them to pass it on to people they know, so we can again get the word out about Derek Automotive Technologies and what we are about to go to market with. So whoever invited you to the Zoom, if you are interested in getting your pre-order certificate and getting gifted the 100 shares and the wonderful lapel pin that Tony mentions, I'm sorry, I thought I was on video. Please reach out to the person that invited you. The person that invited you should reach out to you as well. They will give you a link that will send you directly to the pre-order site. They will also give you a coupon code so you can get that 33% off as an incentive, where the price of that $1,500 certificate will only be $1,005. So again, it's unlimited. You can buy as many pre-order certificates as you like. Tony and I have purchased 4. So we were gifted 400 shares, 100 shares per certificate. We got 4 lapel pins. And we are, and again, we've been with the company for over a year in terms of being shareholders and investors, and we are headed out to the Derek Automotive Experience Center next week to again feel, touch, and see the technology again, and just have camaraderie with all the other investors, shareholders, and all the surprises and announcements to come. So we encourage you again to, if you see something, do something. We don't know how long Derek is going to keep this program going. We definitely know in the very, very near future that this program will not be an option once we go IPO. It will not be an option at all. So with that being said, I'm going to let Tony close us out. I appreciate you guys staying on for the Q&A. And again, whoever invited you will reach out and gauge your thoughts and also give you the links and things. So Tony.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much again for jumping on this Zoom call. We did have an amazing treat with Dr. Corey and Derek. That was the first time we got them both at the same exact time. So that's pretty special. And again, like Teasha said, if you're interested in participating and becoming a shareholder, reach out to whoever invited you. They'll be able to send you the link and the coupon code and help get you all set up. Awesome. That's all we got. So thank you guys. Have a great evening. And
one last thing. Again, if you we want to continue to spread the word. So if there is someone that you want to share this presentation with, you want to inform them about DAT, the company, they can jump on the Zoom just like you did and get the same presentation. Let us know. We are doing private Zooms, group Zooms, one-on-one Zooms, phone calls. We're gonna run this baby until it's done and then enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Yeah, and
So,
and we don't know how long, because one of the questions was how long is the program going to be? We really don't know. I do know once the company goes public, then that's pretty much it for that. There'll be other opportunities as we release other companies to go public under the umbrella. But again, I don't know how long this is going to be, but no pressure. And that's it. That's all I got.
good night, everybody, and thank you again for joining our Zoom tonight.